We can start, right? How many developers we have here today? How many managers? Up. Go up. How many entrepreneurs? A few. How many solopreneurs? Just one. My name is Luca Sartoni, and today I'm going to talk about how to make a career with horrible code. How many of you believes they write beautiful code? Really, really nice one. At least two, because one tweeted before and the other one is not the same person. So how many of you writes good enough code? You have a pretty good self-esteem on this. How many of you write really bad code? Okay. Well, I'm here to testify that you have a chance in life, or at least in this industry, even if you write really bad code, like I did. So the story starts there. That's me. And as many of you, yeah, she's taking pictures because I promised that these pictures are not going to go public any near in the future ever again. Anyway, as many of you, I assume, I started typing code that I was very, very young and extremely naive, as you can see by my haircut. I was 21. I was studying software engineering in Bologna. Any one of you studied in Bologna? Yeah, a few over there. And I dropped off. At some point, I was like, this is not for me. And I left. And I started writing code for myself and for clients. I had people that they were actually paying me money to write code for them. It was 2001. I was making the first websites, PHP, a little bit of JSP, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, like many of us experience. Like, you just have people that they pay the bills. Not really. I was not making any money, almost no money at all. And then at some point, I moved to New Zealand. That picture is from New Zealand. And then when I came back, I started working in a club. And I was doing that, swiping the floor. That's right. I was cleaning a club, like the one you go on Saturday evening listening to concerts. I was the guy cleaning the place. And then, for some reason, some people thought that I could help them doing other things, like producing videos and interviewing people at festivals and musicians. In this case, we have a director. He's a director. And I was interviewing the guy because I was producing web TV for a London-based web TV. We're going to get through that story. And then at some point, I started wearing ties, and I opened a business club. And in a matter of a few months, I was hired as a country manager for a startup. Then I was appointed as the international expansion manager for communication. And then, fast forward, a few weeks ago, I'm there in the middle of the circle with 400 amazing people working at Automatic, the company behind WordPress.com. And I'm very happy to have this job title, which is Growth Cateer at Automatic. Automatic is the company behind WordPress.com, behind Akismet. How many of you know WordPress? And WordPress.com is one of the many ways you can have WordPress. And we also have other projects like WooCommerce or SimpleNote, CloudUp, to mention a few, and Jetpack, of course. And my job is to grow the user base and to grow the engagement, to grow everything that can be grown over there, including plants at the office. However, we don't have an office, so I just grow plants at my place. Oh, not the kind of plants that you grow while you're a student, huh? Let's just make this clear. Giving this evolution in my jobs and my career, I consider myself a lucky man. For real. I really think that I'm extremely lucky. However, there is no such thing as luck. And if you read any book about entrepreneurship, that's what they say. There is no such thing as luck. And from something is true about this, some other things are not really true, because my career was hard, and still is. When I was producing video, for instance, I was sleeping in hostels when I was traveling, sleeping in hostels, eating at McDonald's, counting the euros at the end of every day. And then I had a shirt that was ironed in the back. And when I was going to the speaker's dinner interviewing people, I was picking up the shirt, wearing the shirt, interviewing people, and going back to the hostel for the post-production, sharing the room with 8 other people. And it's not the only thing that I did that I can consider a little scrappy or a little crappy, but life is hard. And our industry is no simpler than any other. So I was struggling a lot. There was a point where I went to a wedding in Singapore. You know, sounds naive, right? So the long story is that I had a friend, and this friend wanted me to be at his wedding. And he was based in Singapore. So I went to Singapore for this wedding. And this friend of mine, Simone, he was working for Amazon at that time. And I was in the middle of a big struggle. I just started a startup. I was part of the startup team, and I didn't have money. Like, the last penny I had, probably I spent it to go to Singapore. And so usually when you go to a wedding, you go with a present, and you give a present to the couple. And at that time happened exactly the opposite. So I came back with something bigger than anything that I could bring there. I was sitting at a street bar, and this is a very picture from that place. And we were just chatting with each other, with my friend Simone. We were having like iced tea and chats. And I told him like how hard it was. How hard it is to position yourself in this industry, how hard it is to be taken seriously, how hard it is to find a job, and in that case, how hard it was to run a new project that you have no clue about it. And Simone told me, well, you will always survive. And I was very, very puzzled. I was not sure about what he meant. So I asked, what do you mean? Well, people like us always survive. And especially like you, that you used to work in a club, swiping floors, doing many different things. We always survive. And we don't think about that often enough. If you think that more than 600 million people don't have access to clean water, and 1 person out of 9 in the world doesn't have enough protein to conduct a healthy life, and we all have food, and we all have water, and we all have access to medicines and sanitation and doctors, no matter how bad our life is going, or professionally or personally, we have a very solid platform that not many people can share in this world. And every time we think about our struggle, we always have to go in perspective. I know it sounds a little paternalistic, and you know, who are you? My grandfather telling me that? But when I started thinking that way, my career took off in a very different way, because my mental attitude was completely different. Think about yourself every time you really struggle, and understand that you are on a solid platform of that kind, gives you a little more ease and helps you to take it easy when things get really hard. The other truth about myself is that I'm extremely, extremely lazy. I'm a lazy man, really lazy, and all of you are, because none of you walks to the fields and cuts the crops, goes home and cooks food. You take the car and you go to the grocery store. Humans are lazy, and we need to embrace our laziness. Every time we embrace our laziness, we try to find a new solution that optimizes resources. And we produce software, which is the very essence of optimizing resources, finding solutions, and being lazy. We build machines that they are supposed to do our job in a better and faster and more economic way. So when they tell you that as a programmer you're lazy, start embracing that. And I did so. So assuming that all of us are lazy, I really encourage you to also do the next step, which is forget efficiency. When you write code, when you do a new project, when you do anything that is professional or personal, forget efficiency. Think about effectiveness. What is the difference between efficient and effective? Any idea? Who knows the difference? Francesca, oh, you know the difference. So efficient is better than effective. Okay. Okay. considering that I'm trying to explain the opposite, you're a little far from there. Better. We're getting there. Any other idea? Come on. I'm sure you know. Francesca, you know it? No? The difference is, yes, effective is all about the effect. Efficient is all about the process. You can be super efficient and do the wrong thing better and better and better and faster, but it's the wrong thing. Effective means you do the right thing and you optimize for the outcome. So instead of focusing on how hard you work, start focusing on how smart you work and how better is the outcome. So when you meet someone that is really busy in your company or in your organization or in your class if you're a student, do we have students here? Okay. Do you have those people around you that are always busy? That they have a super packed schedule no matter what, and when you talk to them, they're like, hold on, I'm doing something else. And they're doing something else, and they're always stressed, and they always roam around, and when you're in the office, they're like headless chicken running here and there. And they are considered super good people because they work a lot. They come in early and they leave late, and they're always hardworking. Get rid of them from your life. Don't be them if you are. Because busy people are bad for you. And you are bad if you're busy. Because the entire point is not about being busy. It's about being effective. And busy people have a problem. They think that their efficiency and their being busy is the goal. The goal is to get things done. So imagine that you have a mountain to climb. And the goal is to get on top of a mountain. And when you are running a company or you're contributing to any project, there is a real mountain in front of you, and you have to get to the top. Some people, what they do, they pack stuff in their backpack, they tie their shoes, and they start walking, and they start climbing the mountain, trying to look for the top. And then they start sweating. And then at some point, they start, you know what, I kind of like the fresh air. Oh, also the effort that I have to do is so beautiful. Let's talk about it. Oh, I'm going to start a blog about us climbing the mountain. And things start to go that way. Every time you have someone that is in charge of managing, of solving a problem, over time becomes someone that is managing the issue. And so you have, the issue is not going to end because the process becomes the goal. But if the goal is to get to the mountain, people like me will look for a gondola. And they jump on it, and they get to the top. And I don't care how beautiful are your shoes. I don't care how nice is the air of the mountain. I need to get to the top. I get to the top as quick as possible. And it's not about cutting corners. It's not about lowering quality. It's not about cheating. It's about always having in mind the goal. And of course, optimizing resources. How many of you know the goal of what they're doing now? Raise your hand up if you know the goal of what you're doing. Professionally. In life, you want to know the goal in life? Become fertilizer, all of us. But professionally? Okay. How many of you are not exactly sure what they're doing and why? Mostly why. Think about it. Take your time and think about it. Having a goal is good because it gives you the direction. If you don't know why you are taking the next job, you're not going to perform in that job because you will always be confused by other things around you. Look at the top. Take the fastest gondola that goes there. If you don't have the money to jump in, do something to get the money or talk to the guy at the gondola. Maybe he's going to give you a ride. And this, it's another thing that I like to say about myself. In my life, for my entire career, on anything I did, I never did it for free. Ever. How many of you have worked for free? Never worked for free. Never. And never worked for money. Never. How many of you work for money? What are you, mercenaries? Do you like to be paid for real? Our industry doesn't pay for that because you like it, so you should do it, right? But it's true. I never worked for free, and I never worked for money. But this one is just about me. I really never took a single job or a single project because of the money. I needed the money. The money gives you a lifestyle, gives you freedom, gives you sometimes peace of mind. But it's never been my true motivator. I never used money as the main driver for professional decisions. Because it's true, I like my job, and I like the things I've done, and I like the things I do now. And if you just follow the money, there are industries that are way, way, way more profitable for people at our level of smartness. If you are in the software industry, you need to be smart. And we all consider ourselves smart, and I assume that you are. If you really want money, and that is your real motivator, there are industries that for your level of intellect, they give you more money than the software industry. But you need to know what are your core motivators. So if you want to have a little exercise, try something like this. My life I coded, I swiped floor, I had a web TV, I did marketing, I managed the country for a startup, I did other things. And every time, I took a note of my real motivator. I did it for the experience, I did it for the fun, I did it for contribution in the latter, so on Automatic. Automatic contributes very substantially to WordPress, which is free software. And that was a big opportunity for me to contribute to free software, to something that is bigger than me. Free software is bigger than me, it's bigger than him, it's bigger than all of us together. And it's bigger of the entire software industry because it's an idea, and it's the most revolutionary idea of our generation. More than anything else, free software, the idea of free software is bigger than the industry of software. And Automatic gave me the opportunity to contribute to that with my work, and that's why I went in that direction. When I joined Automatic, too bad it's not very clear, but I can read maybe a line for you. This is the first few lines of the contract that you get when you start working at Automatic, and it's called the Automatic Credo, and all of us follow that. And it starts with, I never stop learning, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't just work on things that I like. But the most important is here. I am more motivated by impact than money, and I know that open source is one of the most powerful ideas of our generation. So we join a company because of the Credo. But let's go back to this. In 2006, I had my little blog. I started blogging. And at some point, I was asked to run a web TV. How can I say no? I had no idea on video production, and I had no idea how to run a web TV. Should I say no? That would be stupid. So I said yes. And because on my blog, I met Livia. And what happened? That we went to London together for a trip, just as friends. And we got this offer, which was, oh, why don't you guys will join us and become Intruders TV, which is a web TV that is going to report about startups. So 2006, startups were not the big thing. I mean, they were just starting. And come on. And I was like, well, why not? Let's try. And we tried. So what happened? That Livia and I started to travel Europe, sometimes a little further than Europe, because the only thing that was granted was a camera, media pass for conferences, and that was it. And a T-shirt. That was it. We had to pay for travels. We had to pay for production if we wanted to have fancy production. Otherwise, we had to do it by ourselves. And that was the entire thing we had. Camera, a T-shirt, media passes, and a place to upload videos that were distributed. So, well, why not? We started doing this and that. And as I said before, we were sleeping in hostels, sharing the room with 8 other people, counting money at the end of the day when we were having dinner at McDonald's, and faking ourselves wearing shirts when we were going to the speaker's dinner. However, we did it. And we started networking with every single CEO we were interviewing. All of them. We had all of them. We had emails, phone numbers, names, and a video interview with them. So we had the chance to ask any question we wanted because the TV was totally on us. And in a few months, we started interviewing and involving other people. This is Alessio Iacona. He's a journalist, and for a while, he helped. And that one is Tim O'Reilly. I'm sure that many of you studied on O'Reilly books. You know O'Reilly books, the ones with animals on the cover? I'm sure you went through them. That guy is the guy who makes money every time you buy one of those books, because he's the editor. So he's the guy who built the entire publishing house. And, you know, we met the guy. And we met many others in the industry. And what happened? That over time, we were building a solid network of relationship that is not about, you know, let's be friends. It's about, how can I help you? Is there anything you're looking for? And then we started connecting those people, because we knew during an interview, maybe this guy was telling us, yeah, we're looking into this. And probably we already had interviewed someone else that was in the same direction, and we were putting people together. And so we were making things happen. We were connecting people. And Livia now works as a manager at Twitter. And she got there the same way I got to Automatic. Because all of the network that we built was functional to build skills and to have the opportunities. Always remember that opportunities that will arise in your career are not coming from how well you write code. They are coming from the people that you can inspire and help, and by the things that you get done. So always help others, and always get things done. Going to conferences, I was, you know, filming, and I needed pictures, because when you produce a video and you post a video, you need pictures next to it. So I was bringing my camera with me, and I was taking pictures during the conferences. And what happened? That I realized that event organizers, they were struggling with photographers. Are there any photographers here? No. One. Sorry. Photographers are very difficult to deal with. Probably not now, but at that time for sure. Event organizers were running a conference, and then they were negotiating with photographers to use pictures. And I just needed 10 pictures for my videos, and I didn't want to struggle too much. So I was just taking like 100 during the conference, and then at the end selecting the ones that I needed. And I was releasing the entire pool of 100 pictures in Creative Commons, because I didn't want to deal with copyrights, I didn't want to deal with intellectual property, I didn't want to deal with nothing, because I'm really lazy. So I was like, okay, Creative Commons attribution only, and they're out on the website. Go on. Flickr, go. And then at some point, I was just telling the event organizer at the end, like, oh, thank you for inviting us. We had a really good time. By the way, there are 100 pictures there. If you want to use them, Creative Commons. And event organizers started using those pictures, because they didn't have to deal with troublemakers. And many of the things they were doing with those pictures were not related to their core business, so they didn't have to set a budget for that, and the pictures were there. So they were part of the commons. The same way we contribute to free software. How many of you are free software contributors of some sort? Okay, so the same spirit that brings you to contribute to free software, I was contributing to events, because I was just giving them the pictures. And you know what? That granted me 5 solid years of invitations to every single tech conference in the world. Conferences that were charging 5,000 euros or even more just to get in, they were sending me invitations, because they knew it, that having me around was bringing them pictures. So I learned that if you want to help yourself, the first thing you should do is help others. As soon as you see someone that is in need and you can help, just help. That is important. Help. Are you using a library for your software that is lacking something? Instead of complaining about how sucky that is, fork it and contribute. Are you using, let's say, WordPress, and something you don't like about it? Join the community and contribute to it. Why complaining? There's no point in complaining, ever. There is only point when you start helping others. And as soon as you start helping others, you are actually helping yourself. Because you start learning the value of contribution, you start learning how others can be useful to you, and you start learning how to ask for help, which is something that I was never able to. Before joining Automatic, I could die on something, but before raising my hand and say, I'm in need, I was really, really dying for it. Now that I started contributing actively to free software, and also to Automatic in the same way we contribute to free software, Asking for help for me is like super easy. I just say, I need this. Who can help me on this? I don't say something like, hey, if someone helps me on this, I can do that for you. No. When I can help, I help. And when I need something, I ask for it. And the next one, the next advice, is one of the biggest of all. There is no value in anything that you do, code, documentation, speaking at conferences, helping others of any sort, if you're not able to communicate well. What do I mean with that? Do I mean writing a good documentation for my software? A little bit. Do I mean brag about the super cool stuff that I'm doing? Not really. First thing first, the language. And I overstress this because I'm Italian and I'm in Italy and I'm speaking in English. And I know that for many of you and for me too, it was very hard to get there. It was very hard to follow things in English. It's super hard now that I do that in English. But for instance, I decided that I'm not going to take part to any conference in Italy that is in this industry in Italian. I don't do that. Because if I can help somebody, why should I limit my help to a language that is niche? I want to help the broad community. And I'm sorry if some people find a little preposterous, or they find, yeah, but you're Italian, you should speak Italian. No, I am part of a community that even if I don't like it, even if I didn't take the decision, it's not in my power, but the community works in English. Get over it, study a little bit, watch Netflix in English, start listening to songs in English, turn your phone in English, turn your computer in English, stop using Italian documentation, switch, and join the international community. There is no point in isolating yourself and keeping yourself barricaded behind a language. Then, you won't use your language, contribute to documentation for projects that they really need documentation in Italian. Start translating. That is the best way to improve your English, because you start to see real technical English, and not the made-up words that we use in Italy, like ICT. ICT doesn't exist outside of Italy. We never say ICT anywhere. It's IT and communication, eventually. And learn how to make friends. You don't go anywhere without friends. Not friends the Italian way. It's like, not that way. Solid friendships. Friendship where you contribute and you help, and you get help when you need help. Because you will need help one day or the other. You can be the best and the smartest guy, but you will need help. And if you want to go fast, it's true, you should go alone. But if you want to go far, you need somebody with you, and you need to be with someone else. And I mentored a lot of startups, and you know where startups start to crumble? When personal relationships are not solid. When relationship between the people and the team is not solid. Because when you are able to build solid relationship and be super connected and be strong and united, then you can pivot, you can change your idea, you can write better code, you can find someone else, but as soon as you start isolating yourself, oh, we're a bunch of dudes and we only hire dudes because girls, they cannot code. We have this. Fuck it, forget it. The only reason to hire people is their ability to join the team, bring diversity, and I'm sorry for people that they think that diversity is, oh no, another, what's in English? Quota rosa in this conference, seriously. That is not diversity. Diversity is to start thinking that whatever you do in the software industry, your software is meant to work worldwide. Unless you have a team that represents your market, so you have a worldwide contribution, your software is not going anywhere. As soon as you start realizing that unless you have native speaker for every language that you want to cover, you will never be competitive until you have that. So diversity is not the thing that we have to swallow now because it's the big thing. Diversity is the only key for global success. And if you don't have global success, you have nothing, because this industry is global by default. Never give up. And fight fiercely. Always fight. Always. except when you risk to fall into the sunk cost fallacy. Anyone knows what sunk cost fallacy is? You play the slot machine, ting, 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 and you have 1,000 euros in. So you put 1,000 euro in the slot machine, and you keep losing. And then you have $100 more. What do? Well, $1,000 already in. I'm not going to stop now that, maybe I win. That is the sunk cost fallacy. I have this project in. We worked on this for 6 months. The new data that we have tells us that there is no chance to succeed. Well, we put already 1 year of development. What is another 2 months? That is the sunk cost fallacy. It's called also escalation of commitment. Because I committed on something for a long time or enough money into this, I will keep wasting my resources into that instead of giving up. That is a classic cognitive bias, and I learned to get rid of it. Every time there is new information that tells me with enough certainty that something is a failure, walk away. For real. Sorry? Yes, but when you have enough certainty that the failure is there and there's no way to turn it around, walk away. It's very, very difficult. I've seen friends that they struggled 10 years because they were missing 2 exams to get the degree, and they were wasting their life chasing that. And they didn't graduate at the end. They only wasted 10 years. And I'm sure you know people that they went through that at university. University is the classic place where you see that. I spent so many years trying to chase that degree, and I just need 1 more exam, and people burn out. Take a step back. It happened to me to invest my time in things that were a failure. Call them failures, step back, and start something new. As I told you, you have access to water, you have access to food, you have no excuses. Just to sum it up, take it easy. The basics are covered. For us, it's super easy. It's not super easy, but it's very easier than we think. Sometimes we're like, oh, my life is crumbling on me. No. Some specific project is not going in the direction we expected. Help others. Opportunities are people. Opportunities are people. I cannot say it louder. Be nice with each other. Help people that they need you. As soon as someone is struggling with something, step in and help. And make things happen. Be your own luck. As I said, there is no such thing as luck. You need to be your own luck. And the best way is to make things happen. It doesn't matter how tired you are. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are. It doesn't matter how many years we spend together. If we are in the business, we talk business and we get things done. Otherwise, we go home. And there's one more thing. Who disagrees with any of what I said? All agree? I convinced you all? You disagree? That's good. Partially. Well, that's good. Disagree more with people that they step here and they tell you about your life. For real. It's very easy to be here and tell you how to conduct your life. But you are the owner of your life, and you are the only one who can take decision, make decision, and make things happen. So when you have people like me, then they tell you all of this. This is just my life. I'm sure that your life, if we turn it the other way, can tell basically the same things. The only difference, you know what is the difference? I spent 3, 4, maybe 10 hours to put them in a way that are easier to digest and to understand and to put into dots. But never think that I'm here and I'm better than you. All of us are on the same page. We're all in the same industry. Help each other and always consider yourself good enough to help others. Thank you very much. My presentation is already available at bit.ly horrible code. I take any question. If you don't ask question, I ask question to you. And we still have 5 minutes for this. We have one there. Yes, the never work for free, it doesn't mean, sorry, the never work for free means always look into what you're doing is giving back. Never take anything because someone else tells you like, oh, do this because, you know, you're supposed to do it. Try to find something out of it. So it can be experience, it can be anything, but it needs to be anything of that has a value for you. So in my case, I did a lot of jobs where I was not paid. But it was very clear from the very beginning, and I was totally looking for something else that was not economic reimbursement for the time that I was dedicating. So when you step into a new project and you think that it has a value, like contribution to free software, we don't do it for the money. But it has an inherited value and a value for ourselves. And it's very important to identify that value. Because otherwise, you know, at some point, you're going to ask yourself why I'm going to do this, why I'm doing this, and you're not able to explain to others. But if you say, well, I do it for the experience. Because it happened to me, there were people like, why do you do that? They don't pay you for that. But if you thought about it and you say, I do it for the experience, and this is going to last 6 months, and at the end of 6 months, I will know enough, and this will be done. Otherwise, if you don't do that, it's going to last forever. Everybody's going to always ask that because you always did that in the past, and there is no ending line. But when you have a goal, when the goal is reached, you can set a new one, or you can go for another one. Was it clear? Thank you. We have one here and one there. How to recognize failures?
Yeah, because it's safer to say when you see that it's a failure.
Yes.
But sometimes
you don't see it. That is absolutely true. Recognizing failures is difficult when you look at other people, and it's extremely difficult when you try to find failures in yourself. I would suggest to try to look at data more than at feelings. However, all the biggest decision I took happened to be by mood. I had that feeling here, and I was like not sleeping for weeks and months, and I was like, I felt so bad that I had to change something, and then something sparkled, and I changed that. But let's take it a little more from the business side. How to determine if a project is not going anywhere? Easy, set a goal. Set intermediate goals for your projects. And you say, at this date in the future, so in 3 months, things need to be here. This metric needs to be here. Let's say I get into a publishing business. I set up a website, and I publish on the website reaching for targets. So I can advertise and start a business out of that. And I say, in my plan, this website needs to have 1,000 unique visitors per day in 6 weeks. And I write it down, and I put it on the wall. And on that specific day, I check. And if visits are 800, I didn't get it. Then I can say, well, now I can set another one. And you see over time. But if you say, oh yeah, we're going to go into that, and you don't set the target will change every day because you're more afraid of letting it go than realize that we're not going anywhere. Is that okay? We have that one, and then I take another one because otherwise we go over time.
You have changed your life in so radical ways.
Yeah.
Have you ever been scared about your next decision?
Every single day. We are scared by default. You know why? Because the amount of brain that are dedicated to be afraid is bigger than the one that is dedicated to be safe. There's people that they have a nice car, a super big mansion like a castle, and they inherited a lot of money from their family. So basically, they don't even have to work in life, and they are scared that the next iPhone is not going to end on their desk on the day that it's launched. It's true, and I know it sounds funny, but it's the same part of the brain that for some people are scared that they're going to bomb their house in 2 weeks. It's the same process. So we are designed to be afraid to survive. The goal is not being afraid. is to always start to be more rational and try to put things in perspective. So yes, the next step will be scary. And you know what? You're going to survive, and you're going to go through it because you're a smart person. Last one.
What's the next goal?
My next goal
Yeah.
for today is to have dinner.
You ever wanted to work for let's say, .com company, like a
Yes.
so where?
If I tell you this, it sounds very, very... If I say it now, it sounds like, yeah, sure. I always wanted to work for this company since I got to know this company. However, it was never my next goal. Every time I was switching, and I was in a time where I was looking around me, I always thought that this company was not acquiring people like me, that they have basic... so technically, I have basic knowledge of many different codes. I am... You know, I used to be a network administrator. I was certified on Red Hat systems and Cisco, and then I wrote in many different languages, but never to the point to be considered a good programmer. That's why I say that my code sucks, and my code still sucks. And I always thought, well, they're looking for developers or people that they do support. So they will never hire me. And then at some point, there was a chance, and I jumped in, putting together everything I had before, faking a little bit, a little enough just to jump in, and then I cast up, and now I'm up to speed. So always keep the door open for the next thing, because it's going to happen. If you help others, things are going to happen. Thank you very much. We don't have more time.